Howdy, everyone. Matt here. I got a question for you. Do you think we as professionals should be held to a standard to the stuff that we post online? Let's talk about it. All right, everyone. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Matt. I am Matt the PT, coming at you with another video, another topic of something in the physical therapy world. This one, like I said, should there be a standard that we hold ourselves to as professionals? And, when I say professionals, I am just talking about anyone who does that, especially healthcare professionals, when we share stuff online. And, of course, throughout this video, I would love if you shared your thoughts, opinions, beliefs, all of that down in the comments below. If you're anybody like me, the internet has been a part of your life for a pretty significant amount of time. And it may be longer, it may be shorter. We got the internet when I was in my teenage years, and I had it in high school and college and, grad school. And it's a part of everyday life. You're watching me on the internet right now. And there's been this thing about what you post and people holding you to what you share and what you should share and what you shouldn't. And that has really kind of come about in the past few weeks. So there was one thing that it was happening on TikTok. It was an OBGYN office, and it was staff members posing in front of the exam tables with a gel stain on them. And they said, when patients leave you gifts, and it was going around to different staff members, and they were doing that. And this sparked a lot of outrage. A lot of people felt upset about it. And that office came forth and said, we've let go of those staff members. They no longer work for us. And really seeing that crossing a line there. And I understand that they were trying to be funny in that situation. That was probably an inside joke that they have. But really seeing like, okay, that really crossed the line, because that's a real person that was there. That was a real actual person that was sitting in that office at, a few minutes beforehand. And then you've done this, and now it's making fun of a actual situation. And it's just not appropriate. Now I'll say I make funny stuff, and people have gotten mad at the stuff I make the content I make. I don't make fun of people. I don't make fun of people. I tell people I make fun of the situation. I bring humorous, just the situations and things that we deal with. I don't ridicule patients. And I said, what you don't see is you don't see the before that led up to it, and you don't see the after. You don't see, because it's not entertaining, and you're not going to stick around and want to look at that. But many of the situations are really just kind of blown up out, just kind of, you just put a little wild spin on them, and then, okay, that makes it funny, but it's not making actual fun of anyone. Now, some other stuff that has come about has been some opinion pieces that have come forth, and there's been, this past week, there was the thing that happened here in Utah, and then there was the flooding that happened down in Texas. And there have been people that have put forth statements about it, but they feel one way or another about them. And there's been consequences of it. Now, I know there was a pediatrician that made a comment about the flooding, what happened down with the flooding in Central Texas, and it upset a lot of people, and they ended up losing their job. And then I understand with the things that happened in Utah that there's probably going to be repercussions and stuff that come about from that one way or other. It's still very, very early on. And from all of these situations, I see something there that's a very interesting thing, that whenever you put yourself out there as that you are a PT or a PTA or OT, OTA, a physician, a surgeon, a nurse, or whatever, people automatically hold you at this high standard. It's this very interesting thing, is that when they see that you're a medical professional, they automatically put you at this higher standard. Now, a crazy thing as well is that, they'll put you at this high standard for how you're supposed to act and say and do and all this. But then on the flip side, they don't think it's fair that you get paid, like a professional. But that's another talk for another day. But people don't want to separate that. People cannot separate the PT. If you're a PT, they cannot separate the PT away from you. They've blended together. It reminds me of these things when we've had lawyers speak at conferences and stuff like that. That when stuff is comes up, they said with like your liability, they've said that you're held to the highest degree that you have. So you can't say like, oh, when I'm at work, when I'm at my clinic, I am a physical therapist, but then when I go and work at this gym, I'm a personal trainer. They're like, no, you're held to the physical therapy degree and standard at all times. And really seeing all this come out is that people are going to hold us to that standard, to this high standard. And I would say people automatically put standards on everybody. Enjoying the video so far, please hit that thumbs up button and that subscribe button. Back to the video. In every situation, I worked retail in my college years, and people put a standard on you, and they think that you're not that smart, that you're not that bright. Oh, how many times, and you can look up stories on social media of retail, people who worked retail or food service or jobs that people felt were demeaning or things like that, and like how they were treated and how their opinions were viewed because of what they do. And people just assigned a thing to them. I can tell you, I've read stories of individuals working in grocery stores or retail stores, and they were like, hey, I'm working on a PhD. I'm about to go to med school, and people just demean them and don't think that they're anything because they work there, because they now have assigned a standard to them. And that's what I really see about with what goes online, is that they hold people to a standard. Now, I'm going to say this. We have freedom to have whatever opinion we want. That is one thing. I don't ever correct people on anything. I'm not going to tell you what you should believe, what you should do. I'm not going to tell you that. We all have the freedom to make whatever opinion that we have. That is just a right that we have. We have free will. You can have whatever opinion that you want. And I believe that's a very good thing to have, is that we all have these different opinions, and it's very interesting to talk to people with different opinions and stuff. It can be a very enlightening thing. But just because we also have those opinions doesn't, and you can express them. And that's another thing. I'm sorry. You can express your opinions. And I do feel like, yes, you should be able to express your opinions in any way, form, or fashion that you would like. We have that right. You can do that. But we cannot be immune from the consequences of that. And when these really hard things, these big things, these polarizing things happen, that I think us as professionals need to take a step back, to take a breath, maybe count to 10 before we ever post anything, before we ever say anything, to let an opinion be known of how we feel about something, because it could change the trajectory of our lives. I mean, you can by all means make forth a comment about whatever, and maybe that comment elevates you to something amazing. And that's what most people think that's going to happen. I'm going to make this comment. I'm going to be held up in this high esteem. I'm going to be a hero because I did this. Or you can make that comment and become the villain and shunned, and again, lose your job. You do everything, just lose all your patience, everything, because you made this comment. Or could that comment be lost to the void of time? We have all of those things that actually can happen when we put forth those things. And I'll wrap up the video. I know I've rambled a bit too much. And of course, like I said, please share your thoughts, opinions, and belief. That there's one thing that I think about when I make my videos, not these videos, because I like talking about this, but like my short form videos, the humorous things. I've had several people tell me this, friends and family especially, that they said, my kids love your videos. My nieces and nephews love the videos. They laugh so hard at me. And I always think about them when I post something. So yes, maybe some of my stuff is not always the most kid friendly, but I think about them, that my niece and my nephew, they're going to watch this, and they're real little. They're going to watch this, that our little kid's going to watch this and be entertained with it. My grandmother thinks this stuff is just absolutely hilarious. Is my grandmother going to find this entertaining? And I really hold myself to their standard. Are they going to find that this is entertaining? That I'm not being mean. I'm not being rude. I'm not making anyone to be a villain or bad or anything. Is it just a little thing? And that's what I do. I don't share any of my opinions about stuff. I may share my opinions about manual therapy or stuff within physical therapy. I'm going to do that. But never sharing any of those other things. To me, I don't feel like that's important for me to share out with others, to put that out there. I just don't feel like that, because I would rather get to know people and talk with people and learn a lot about them and to have these discussions. And I do believe we need to have discussions and come together and understand one another. So with all that being said, please, like I said, let me know your thoughts, opinions, beliefs, all that down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a copay or anything. And until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of your patients. I'll see you then.